Alrighty, let's go with the final video of today. I'm going to probably put 2-1 in here, so let's go right with it. What's up, y'all? It's Krod here. I'm back with another good boxing video for today. Today we're going to be talking about Mr. Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson. Let's talk about with Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson has recently been calling for the Jamel Herring fight after Jamel Herring brutally knocked out Carl Frampton, I believe in the 6th round or 7th round, not too sure. Most likely had to be in the 6th round. I'm pretty sure if my memory is correct. But Shakur Stevenson said to Jamel that he has 30 days to basically abide to his contract, where Jamel Herring, had agreed to state that, if he beats Carl Frampton, he's supposed to give Shakur Stevenson an opportunity, because Shakur Stevenson is the mandatory challenger for his belt, which is the WBO 130-pound super featherweight title, which I think is very vital for Jamel to do this, because Jamel, he seems to be the type of guy to not be a man of his word. I think, honestly, from his last fight with Jonathan Okendo, the fight prior to the Frampton fight, he looked like he quit in the ring, and it was pretty sad that Jamel did not want to give Okendo a opportunity. I felt like that was extremely disrespectful, because Okendo, he wasn't really fighting dirty. Jamel made it dirty, so that way he can just use that as an excuse to say, oh, I can't fight no more, blah, 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 and, cut that shit out, man. Look, I heavily respect Jamel. I speak to him from time to time whenever he's not busy, and he trains with Terrence Crawford, so, I'm pretty sure he understands, what other people are saying about Crawford, including me, and I don't really try to hate on Terrence Crawford. I really want the best for Crawford, but Crawford, he really needs to stop it with his ego, man. Crawford, you're an amazing fighter, but sometimes your ego kind of lets you, get so high, and, I kind of just feel like Crawford, he's not really letting his true potential be shined, because he either don't want to fight the best, or he's making excuses to not fight the best, and it's pretty sad, because Crawford, he's a very talented fighter, and for him to be around, really good people to help him, lift his career, I just don't ever see that being helpful for the fans to see what Crawford is doing in his, recent decision making, and he's just basically saying F you to the fans for not fighting a guy like Errol Spence, because Errol Spence is quote unquote pricing himself out for the biggest fight to be made in boxing, which I am not against, because I think Errol Spence deserves a lot of money for the fight with Crawford. I do think 60-40 is a good offer, but the problem is that Errol Spence is not the type of guy to really say these type of things, where, he tries to say to Crawford publicly that I'm going to give you 60-40 or no fight, but it's like you never brought it to negotiations to make it, official, to say, okay, guys, we're in negotiations now, so we can discuss this out and try to see where we can go. And I just think it's really weird that Errol Spence would say to a guy like Terrence Crawford that he wants a split, when he wasn't arguing about any other split compared to any of his other fights. See, now, I could be wrong. I really do think Terrence Crawford is just the type of guy to basically not give enough, not receive enough respect for his career. But I really do believe Crawford has a lot of deficiencies with, negotiating proper deals with his opponents. Either Crawford is the one pricing himself out when he, gets paid like an extra $1 million by Bob Arum if he's not going to get his biggest fights with Manny Pacquiao, which he's been, he's been wanting that fight for 6 years, and it's not going anywhere with that fight. So I think it's just really weird how Crawford is moving. But it's weirder with Errol, which I don't think it's an issue for him wanting to have a 60-40 or 70-30 split with Terrence Crawford. But I don't know if this is, like the type of fight that I could say that Crawford and Spence really need to, try to, not cross paths, again, because it just seems like, that the money ain't right. But it's like, Errol wasn't like this leading up to, a fight like Crawford. So I just think it's really weird, and it doesn't make any sense because that fight alone should be made now. And for Jamel Herring to be a part of this team with Crawford, he should be pushing for the fight. I think Jamel Herring should be taking a fight with Shakur Stevenson to give Shakur Stevenson the better opportunity of making more money, because Shakur Stevenson, he's such a well-talented individual, and I don't understand why people keep hating on him, but Shakur Stevenson is going to be a future undisputed world champion. Whether people like it or not, Shakur Stevenson is at that level of hitting undisputed status. But the issue is that if nobody don't want to fight him, and Shakur has to beg to Top Rank, i.e. Bob Arum, just to push for the fight, and Bob Arum's not going to do jack shit for him, then what does Shakur have left? He has nothing. So I think Shakur, he really either needs to probably leave Top Rank, because Top Rank seems to be absolutely disgusting with treating Shakur with basically just pennies and scraps, and it's just not good. It's not good that Shakur is being treated unfairly, and Jamel Herring needs to take this fight with Shakur. But I think Shakur is good anyway, because Jamel is contractually obligated to give Shakur a fight. So if Jamel does not take the fight, he's gonna have to vacate the belt, or no, he will be stripped by the WBO. That's what I heard from the contract obligations if he does not take the mandatory fight. So I think that's good on the WBO's behalf. At least they're not like the WBC or the bitch ass WBA. At least with the WBO and the IBF, they keep everything to their word. So I really hope that does come to fruition, and then we get to see Shakur Stevenson become a 2-division world champion. So I think it's good. It's good either way. It's something that I'd like to see, and it really helps out with the sport, and it really cleans up a lot of dirty tactics in the sport of boxing that people try to use to get away from the tougher fights, and I don't think it's really helping. I don't ever see the sport ever getting better if more fighters are going to keep avoiding other fighters, and then what? These piece of shit champions are just going to fight bums every single time when they get a title fight opportunity or a title defense opportunity. So no, fuck that shit, man. Jamel Herring, you're going to lose your title. I'm very disappointed in you. You need to be fighting the best, and if you don't, I'm going to flame you, and I'm going to embarrass you, because Jamel Herring did not do this with any other fighter that he's run into. Shit, you fought Lamont Roach. He was a tough fight. A lot of people thought Lamont Roach was gonna beat the brakes off of Jamel, because Jamel, he's old. He was old. Way past his prime. And I was never expecting Jamel to really be at a level of defeating Lamont Roach. I actually thought Lamont Roach was going to lose that fight, but good enough that Jamel won. Why? Because people believed in him, and he worked hard for, the fight alone for him to win. So I don't understand why Jamel couldn't, take this opportunity with Shakur, because there's a lot of money to be made for the fight alone. So I think either way, this fight needs to happen now, and I think Jamel, he's going to have to learn from his lesson, or learn from this lesson to understand that you just don't fuck around with people that you avoid that are your mandatories. So either way, Shakur is winning either way, and I think he's doing a very tremendous job for trying to push for these tough fights because he understands that he is the next big thing. But if people aren't going to give him that opportunity, then I understand why Shakur Stevenson is in the position that he's in, because Shakur, he's not being given enough respect. So either way, that's already off the books. Shakur for the win. Great job. Hopefully we get to see his WBO title fight very soon. I know he's going to be fighting in June. That's going to be fun. Or May. I'm not too sure. But Shakur, he's going to get his belt no matter what. So yeah, let's get right with the Devin Haney, George Kambosos situation. George Kambosos was talking a lot of shit, saying that Devin Haney is not the real champion. You have the fake belt, the email belt. And let me just tell you something. You are the dumbest motherfucker on earth. You are the guy that went the distance with 2 fights where you did not have a chance against 2 well-known opponents, i.e. Mickey Bay, which was a very tough fight, and Lee Selby. Which the question should be asked is that, why didn't you give either of these guys a rematch? Which I understand George Kambosos, he earned his mandatory spot with Teofimo Lopez. But the thing is that Teofimo Lopez did not have to fight George Kambosos. Teofimo Lopez is using George Kambosos as a bait and switch to avoid Devin Haney, or to not fight him at the moment and just use it as an excuse to not have to be pressured into fighting Devin Haney. So it's basically just like a cover-up. But for George Kambosos, Kambosos is not even that good of a fighter. His skills do not translate to fights like Devin Haney has been in, or even Teofimo, to say the least. I think Teofimo, he could possibly lose to Kambosos, but Teofimo, if he catches Kambosos, it's going to be a very easy fight for Teofimo. I think George Kambosos is the type of fighter where he can last in a fight, but his power doesn't save him when he does gas out early, and then he can get hit pretty easy to get knocked out. But that's the same thing for Teofimo. George Kambosos made a good point to say that Teofimo Lopez is a 6-round fighter, which I do agree. Teofimo Lopez is a 6-round fighter. He's never been past, he's never been past 6 rounds, or he's never been in deep waters to the point where he has to work on his conditioning and he has to work on his, tenacity. So the thing about Teo is just that Teo is just, the type of fighter where he just likes to bang and brawl, and he doesn't really have boxing ability. He just has athletic movement that keeps him going for him to sustain in a fight more, for him to get away from big punches. Because if Teo was able to fight, he would have a really good chin, and he would be able to take harder punches and fight on the inside all day. But he's really not like that. He's like a semi-inside, outside fighter. He's like an all-around type of fighter. But Teofimo Lopez is really like the type of fighter to not really make himself that big of a threat until, he actually gets his rhythm going. And I think that's very necessary for Teo, because that's how Teo wins. But if we look at from the Nakatani fight, you could see that Masayoshi Nakatani gave Teo a lot of fucking problems. A lot of problems, to the extent where Teo said after the fight that, I want no black fighters. Or, no more tall fighters. Sorry. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure he doesn't want Devin Haney because he is black. But more so, it's just that Devin Haney's just a tough opponent, and Devin Haney would beat the brakes off of Teo. And that fight alone would be a very difficult fight to determine if Teo is ready for the next level, or Devin Haney is ready to become a undisputed world champion. And I mean, that's really what the biggest issue here between Tio and Kambosos is that Tio's using Kambosos either as a bait and switch, or Kambosos is a bad cherry pick matchup where Teofimo, is going to put himself in a position to either get knocked out, and Kambosos will probably not fight Devin Haney for undisputed, which I would assume Kambosos should do that, because you worked your ass off to get to Tio, so you should work your ass off more to get to Devin Haney. So why not fight Devin Haney? Look, if Devin is such an easy opponent, why the fuck is Kambosos fighting Tio? Why isn't he fighting Devin Haney if he's the fake email champion? Why not take his belt away from? Take his belt away from him, and then you can, make yourself a bigger impact, in the sport. But I understand why. George Kambosos is not the type of guy to live up to his word. I can tell from the Mickey Bay fight, he did not want to fight Mickey Bay anymore because Mickey Bay gave that man problems in the ring. I think he only got dropped one time, but it was probably a flash knockdown punch that Mickey Bay got from Kambosos. But either way, Kambosos is really not that good of a fighter. Very, very easy, predictable opponent. Has his punches looping a lot. He's really crappy with his, execution off the jab. And he makes himself absolutely susceptible to a lot of big punches. And I really think Kambosos is just the type of fight where, Tio could either make or break him, or Kambosos will dominate him, and that'll be a fight for Kambosos to either win or lose. So, but let's talk about the comment that Kambosos made towards Devin Haney. Devin Haney was being criticized by Kambosos to say that he does not have the real belt, he has the fake email belt. Well, if Devin Haney has the fake email belt, why the fuck is Tio not being recognized by the other organizations? Why does it still say on the WBO website that Devin Haney is the real fucking champion? Why does it still say on the WBC website that Devin Haney is the real champion? Can someone please answer this for me? Well, here's why. Nobody don't want to answer it because they know what the answer is. They know why Devin Haney is a problem to a lot of people. And Devin Haney is not going to do anything about, accepting the fact that Tio is undisputed when he's not undisputed. Devin Haney is the other gem to the puzzle. But Teofimo and Kambosos are basically just absolute retards to the point where they're afraid of Devin Haney and they know what the fuck is going to happen. They know what Devin Haney's going to do to them. He could either vacate all the belts and basically tell Tio, hey Tio, I vacated all the belts, or I vacated my belt, so come and get it. And he could bait it out to them. Devin Haney could just re-challenge for the belt and become a mandatory for the WBC, or he could just move up and wait. I think that's what's going to happen. But if Tio's not going to fight Devin now, then who the fuck is going to expect them to fight them later? Or for themselves to fight each other later. I just don't think Devin Haney is really going to have the opportunity with Tio or Kambosos, to whoever actually wins. I think it'll be a tough fight overall, but I think Tio could actually make a big statement in, let's just say, defeating, let's just say, well, if he beats Kambosos, nobody's not going to credit him. But I mean, if it was Devin Haney and he did beat Devin Haney, then Tio will get all the credit in the world. But Kambosos is just an easy, step aside opponent. And I think Tio, he's either going to have an easy night or Kambosos is just going to bring something that Tio doesn't see, and Tio, he's going to get knocked out. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I got to say. Devin Haney, he's doing everything right. Kambosos and Tio, they're mental retards, so I don't ever see them being such huge threats like many would say. So, that's pretty much what I got to say to y'all. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Devin Haney is the fake email champion? Because I want to see real facts and real logic, because it seems like it's just over emotionalistic thinking, and people don't really understand boxing to understand the point that when you become a champion, you hold a belt for the belt itself that you earned, and you did not have to get an email to receive the belt. So I think for Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez, it is pretty much shown that Devin Haney is the real WBC champion. Teofimo, to the WBC's franchise bullshit logic, is that he is Devin Haney's mandatory, and Teo should be activating a mandatory spot for Devin Haney if we're going to be consistent. But if you are not going to become consistent, then fuck you. You guys are absolutely retarded. And I don't really care for Teofimo Lopez bitch-made fans and George Kambosos, retard fans. I don't think it makes any sense in the world of why you guys keep making the worst excuses for the best to not fight the best. So that's pretty much what I gotta say. Fuck you, Teo, and fuck you, Kambosos. Devin Haney is the Titan at 135, and he will kill every single one of you. Alright, that's pretty much what I gotta say. Yeah, be sure to like, rate, comment, and subscribe. I will see you guys later, and have a great day. Bye.